Yo, what's up everyone? Anime Mafia here for another video. I'm here for another part of Misfortunate Soul, part 4. Without further ado, let's get into this video. It was night, as Touma took out one of his cigarettes and began to smoke. He took Styl's brand of cigarettes out of his cloak when he knocked his ass out, senseless, as a bit of compensation for trying to kill me. Hey Motoharu, you want one? No thanks, Motoharu had said. The dorm had seemed mostly abandoned, but the triggering of the fire alarm and the subsequent sprinklers going off had changed matters. In no time at all, the empty dorm was filled with fire trucks and onlookers. Over to an ambulance. Academy City fundamentally disliked outsiders. That was why walls surrounded the city and 3 satellites were constantly monitoring all activities. Even the drivers of the trucks had supplied convenience stores needed an exclusive ID to get in. Index would be attacked if she was in a hospital or surgery. Not to mention she is an outsider with no ID, and would be attacked. Even so, Touma said, I won't leave you like this. Index had explained to him that if he could just stop the bleeding, she would be fine. That was why Kamijo immediately knew what she had just said was wrong. As someone who was accustomed to street fights, he could apply basic first aid onto himself for cuts and bruises, best kept secret. But the wound on Index's back made Kamijo lose his cool. Her wound was something beyond what amateurs could solve by wrapping bandages. As Touma then asked, don't you got any healing spells in those 103,000 grimoires of yours? Motoharu looked at the scene before him. He's kind of limited in what he could do right now. Lest his magic isn't suited for this. Besides, he wouldn't want his blood vessels to implode. As Index explained, that he wouldn't be able to use magic, even if he learned how to do the spell perfectly because he is an Esper. Index Touma cursed at his right hand. Index then explained that Espers and magicians' brains were different. So Touma or an Esper using magic, their blood vessels would most likely explode. So they would need a regular ungifted person. Motoharu and Touma then came to a conclusion that they would get Kamui-sensei to cast healing magic. But then Touma said, yeah, there was one problem. What was her address? Motoharu then said, maybe Aogami knows. I have heard that he is a stalker. Touma then called Aogami for Kamui-sensei's address. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, Aogami gave him Kamui-sensei's address. As Touma and Motoharu took the injured Index, I just hope Sensei isn't asleep, Motoharu. Yeah, you're right, Kamion, me too. This is the place, Touma had said. While Motoharu was carrying Index on his back, they had arrived after 15 minutes of walking in that back alley. Utterly unbefitting Kamui-sensei's 12-year-old appearance, it was a 2-story wooden apartment that looked so old and worn down that Kamijo felt it must have weathered the bombing of Tokyo. As Touma came up the metal staircase with Motoharu and Index, he then seized the door of the hiragana of his sensei's name. He rings the doorbell twice. Touma then struck the door with his foot, putting a dent into the door. Was that necessary? Motoharu had said. Yes, Touma had said, as he then heard, yes. The anti-newspaper salesman door is the only sturdy thing here. I'll open it, okay? As Kamui-sensei, her relaxed expression indicated that she did not see Index's wound. Kamui then says, Tsuchimikado-chan, Kamijo-chan, what brings you two here? Yes, Sensei, we're coming in. Touma said, wait, I can't have you coming into my room, and it isn't because my room is a horrible mess with empty beer cans littering the floor and cigarette butts piled up in the ashtray. Sensei, Touma had said. Yes? See if you can make the same joke after seeing what Motoharu and I are carrying on our backs. Touma then said, I didn't know you had such a scary wound, Kamoe had said. It's now you notice? Touma had slightly annoyed. It looked like a room belonging to a middle-aged man who loved betting on horse races. The badly worn tatami mats had countless empty beer cans strewn across them in a silver ashtray. I see, so you weren't joking. I suppose it's hardly the time, but do you have problem with girls who smoke? Ha! That's funny, Touma said, as he kicked the beer cans out of his way. I mean, I'm a smoker too, but... Motoharu then said, Sensei never gave off the slob type of person. Touma was reluctant to sit as he laid Index face down on the floor. Okay. Alright, what do I do? Touma thought to himself. The way Index's clothes were torn hid the wound, but blood was seeping out. Shouldn't you call an ambulance? The phone is over there. The mana in the blood is flowing out, along with the blood, Index had said in a robotic tone. Touma, Motoharu, and Kamoe-sensei instantly turned their heads to look at Index. Warning, Chapter 2, Verse 6. If the wound hasn't been healed in the next 15 minutes, my life force will expire. Due to the loss of blood in John's pen mode has been forcefully awakened. Motoharu's point of view. Motoharu looks as he sees Index in John's pen mode. So this is John's pen, eh? Motoharu had said. It's a bit weird seeing a cute girl like Index make a cold look like that. Motoharu looked at Index, and then thought so, then this is what Kami is dealing with. Huh? A girl of power that can make her into the equivalent of a magic god. That's some scary stuff Kami is dealing with. Index had then gone on to say, you should listen to me if you want to apply the most effective treatment. Hey Sensei, since this is a dire emergency, I'll keep this short. I need to tell you a secret. Sorry about this, Index. Touma lifted up the back of Index's robe to reveal the wound. Kamoe jumped up in shock. Motoharu wasn't surprised that Kamoe jumped up in shock. Anyone would. Touma then said, I'm going to call an ambulance. In the meantime, you need to listen to what the girl has to say. I'm going to run to get Stein-sensei. As Touma ran dashing with Speed Star. Wait, Kamoe's... the phone's over there. But Touma ran as fast as he then said, yeah, Stein-sensei could help Index, right? As he was running, he then thought about the wound on Index's back. It was so eerily similar to the one on his back. It almost made him want to vomit. He didn't want to see Index get hurt like that again, as he doesn't know what he would do. The face Index made was like his when he met Motoharu in the hospital all those years ago. Index's eyes were so pale and expressionless, similar to him, back then when he met Motoharu and returned to his old self. Meanwhile, back at the subplot, Motoharu was watching Kamoe and Index perform the healing spell. Great, so Index taught Sensei's healing magic. I am a magician, and we have our laws as well, but people don't call me the backstabbing blade for nothing. So, I'll let Sensei live. Should I call Kami, though? He probably went to Stein for extra help. I'm wondering what Stein-sensei is doing anyways. Meanwhile, back in Stein and Marie's place at Academy City, Stein was having a conversation with his wife, as he proceeded to slightly grope Marie. As they were about to engage in some, rated R material, right? Touma came barging in Stein-sensei. Stein-sensei. Oh. What the hell are you doing to Marisa? As Touma was beet red. What does it look like, Touma? Stein said sarcastically. I was going to dissect Marie first, but since you wanted to interrupt me, I'm going to dissect you. Wait, Stein, put the scalpel down. Damn my rotten luck. Back to Motoharu. Can't be anything important, Motoharu had said. As the healing ritual neared its completion, Motoharu said, this is the work of the 103,000 grimoires of the Zero Parish, and it's serious. Next Librorum Probatorum. Interesting. Replenishment of mana and stabilization of condition. Confirmed. Returning to John's pen to dormant mode. Like a switch had been flipped, a soft light returned to Index's eyes. Like a fire being lit in a cooled fireplace, warmth filled the atmosphere. The look in Index's eyes was so kind and warm that Komoe and Sensei and Motoharu could not help but feel its warmth. It was the look of a normal girl. As Motoharu looked at Index, Sensei thought that anyone would be glad to have their deadly wound healed, but the nun said something else. I'm glad I didn't burn anyone with anything. Komoe Sensei stared at Index in surprise. If I died here, he may have had to bear the burden. Motoharu looked in slight surprise. Index wasn't more concerned that she had survived. Rather, her death didn't burden Kami. Komoe Sensei could not think the same way. She had no one to think about that way. And that was why she asked one thing. She had never felt that way about anyone before, and she did not know what the feeling was. But when he had recklessly gone mad at her when he faced them with that magician, she had to crawl to him and force him. When he ran away from Kentius, she had thought she would cry when he had returned. She could not fathom it, but when she was with him, nothing ever went as planned. And as she felt pushed around, and yet those unexpected things that were enjoyable and made her happy. So she did not recognize what this feeling was. However, Index had fallen asleep with a smile on her face, as if she had a pleasant dream. No, the cell. Touma said, depends on what it is, Motoharu said. I caught San Sensei on a bad time. What do you mean? Motoharu said, wanting more details. Well, I caught him doing that to Marie-san as he gestured his hands towards Motoharu. And to Marie-san, well, long story short, he got pissed at me and tried to dissect me. Ha! Sucks to be you, Kami. As Motoharu chuckled, Touma got a bit annoyed, then said, Hey, you said you wouldn't laugh. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Motoharu had said, then had Touma come close to him. Yeah, come here, Kami, and close your eyes too while at it. Why? I'll bandage your face. Motoharu took Toma's face, as if he was about to bandage it. He then said, I lied, as he punched Touma square in the face. What the hell was that for, Motoharu? I did it because I felt like it, said Motoharu as he stuck his tongue out. Yeah, I'ma tell Micah that you hit me. I'ma tell Micah that you hit me and she's gonna come over here and patch me up too. Touma says he stuck his tongue out, while Motoharu got annoyed. Not my Micah-chan, she's the only one who's immune to the Kamion disease. The sickly Index and Komoe Sensei couldn't help but chuckle at the boys' antics. The real question is, how is that the pajamas of a beer-loving, chain-smoking adult such as yourself fits in? What is the age difference anyways? Touma had said towards the sensei. Index then said with another jab, Tomoe and that the pajamas were tied on her chest. Do you two even have anything to be tied on the chest? Tomoe said. Ha! Motoharu had laughed. He basically called you flat. Kamijo-chan, Tomoe had then asked. As Tomoe then apologized for his comment before. Who is this girl to you anyways? A good friend of mine. Well, okay, I'll take your word for it, Tomoe had replied. Tomoe had then said she was going out for groceries. As a supermarket, Kamijo looked toward Index, who lay in the futon. Index then explained that it would be wrong for her to use any more magic. Index then went on to explain. Touma had thought he could get Tomoe to perform alchemy for him. You know, the stuff that can turn lead into gold. Index then explained that they do. But he then came to the conclusion that the conditions are changing the atomic arrangement and went on. Index was confused. As Touma tried to explain to Index and some things down for her. And not even the level 5s in Academy City could even do that. Touma and Index went on to have the same conversation as in canon. As Motoharu was observing, he then remarked in his head, "Then Index is just like his best friend." Index then said, "Do you want to know?" Index's cheerful tone changed to a determined one. Index went on to explain more to Touma about the magic side politics. As Touma was learning more, Touma came to a conclusion, as in canon. So they want the bomb in your head, right? Index had said. Motoharu had then thought, with that kind of power, necessaries could one day overthrow the science side. As Index went on to explain with the 100,000 Mars, they could twist everything without exception. A magic god. A magic god. Without realizing, Touma had grit his teeth. He could tell from how Index acted she had not chosen to have those 100,000 Mars put into her head. Kamijo, no reason other than to prevent as many victims as she could. If Kamijo could not stand the magic side previously, he definitely can't now. They were treating Index as if she wasn't human. Touma is surprised that she can put up with human beings to begin with. Sorry. Index saying sorry made Touma more angry. Touma lightly tapped Index on the forehead. Oh, come on, why didn't you tell me something about this important? Motoharu smirked at the scene, as it reminded him of the scene way back when he and Touma were kids. Touma, Index saying her next words almost sounding like she could cry. Because I didn't want you to hate me. Index had said, churches and grimoires, all of that stuff isn't absurd and crazy to me. But the last thing you should do is apologize. Instead of apologize, how about help me instead? Of course, you'd say something like that, huh, Kamiya? Motoharu had said. Don't look down on a guy like me like that. You really thought I would call you creepy or disgusting just because you memorized 103,000 grimoires? How callous of a person you think I am? As Touma realized what he was so pissed about, he had wanted the next to ask him for help just once. Come on, just a little. Just trust me a little. Don't come up with your own explanations of people. Even if he was a normal person, there would be no reason for Touma to back down. As Index was crying and bawling her eyes out, Touma was happy to see Index's weakness. You see, I have my right hand, so no magician is any match for me. And I got Motoharu on my side. He and I, as Meister and weapon, can take on anything. Touma said with excitement. As he said this, he brought Motoharu in a playful chokehold. But you said you have supplementary lessons during summer vacation, Index said. Eh? Touma froze for a bit. But he remembers he barely passed his years, so he managed to get one supplementary course. But that won't stop me. I'm not that much of an idiot, but Motoharu is. Idiot! Motoharu shouted. Who are you calling an idiot? Now he has Touma in a chokehold. No one is Motoharu, just me. I'll go, as Touma tapped out. Motoharu then looked at the time as he was chuckling. He then saw Touma enter prostration mode and saw him get bitten by the sickly index. I'm leaving for the day. Alright, bye, Motoharu, Touma said while nursing his head. Meanwhile, 600 meters from the multi-tenant building, Stiyl took his binoculars away. As Kanzaki and Stiyl had mostly the same conversation as in canon, saying that they looked into Touma. Stiyl saying that no matter what, his right hand is a different story. And the weapon in his right hand most likely explains why he survived. Although the two briefly thought that he could have had the deed of OMA on his side, but they doubted it. In the worst case scenario, this could develop between a three-way battle between Academy City, the deed of OMA, and Necessarius. As they looked, they both noticed how Index looked so happy. They saw Index was biting Touma, and Touma chopped her simultaneously. How long do we have to keep on ripping that to pieces? Bath time, sang Index, as she walked in her safety pin-covered robe. It had been 3 days since Index was sick. Since we didn't have anything remotely resembling a bath, Kamoa, since they were going to a public one. Touma, said Index in a muffled voice, as she was lightly biting the upper arm of her shirt. What? Touma had replied. Index had realized that she didn't know his name, so he had introduced himself to her. Since then, she had called his name over 60,000 times. Kamoa Sensei said there was coffee milk at a public bath, but I find that very hard to believe. Public baths are common in England, aren't they? Index and Touma had the same conversation as in canon. Damn it, Touma muttered to those night skies. He felt even more anger towards magicians. Who would do that to a girl like Index? Touma, are you angry? I'm not. The question had caught him off guard, but Touma and Kamijo managed to feign ignorance. If I had managed to upset you in some way, I apologize. Touma, what's got you so mad? Is it puberty? I don't want to hear about puberty from someone with a childlike body like yours. Touma and Index had the same argument as in canon. As Touma was bitten on the head by Index, he then chopped her back, both nursing while walking off in the same direction. As Touma having the same monologue as in canon. Suddenly, his vainly spinning thoughts cut off. Something wasn't right. It was 8 p.m., so it would be a little while before everyone went to sleep. And there was no one here. This is because Stiyl carved an Ophelia rune for a people clearing field. As Touma blinked, he saw a girl. Touma looked at the girl, as he saw that she had a strong soul. As he looked at her outfit, Touma made a remark saying that she was fine. But the one who purifies gods and slays demons, an excellent true name. However, the girl herself showed no signs of nervousness, and the way she spoke was in a calm manner, as if she was in a casual conversation. Who are you? I am Kaori Kanzaki. I would prefer not to give my elder name, if possible. Your magic name, right? Touma snarkily replied. Yes. So you're from the same cabal as that Stiyl guy, right? You heard that from Index? Touma didn't reply. To be honest, I'd like to take her into our care without having to give my magic name away. Touma shuddered a bit. Touma had two trump cards: his right hand and the technique that Blackstar taught him long ago. Yet the enemy standing before him didn't give him the chills. And if I refuse? Kamijo had asked nevertheless. He had no reason to fall back. Then I'll have no choice. I'll have to give my name until she is brought into our care. A distance of 10 meters lies between Kamijo and Kanzaki. In the next instant above, The air above Kamijo was sliced apart. He froze in place. And the blade of a wind turbine behind him, to the right, was silently sliced through diagonally, as if it were made out of butter. "Please stop this," said a voice 10 meters in front of him. "Ignoring my warning will only lead to death." Kandaki's 2 meters plus sword was already in a scabbard. The strike had been so quick, Kamijo had never even seen the blade exposed in the air. The only reason Touma was standing is because Kanzaki missed. Purposely. With the wind turbine fell. "Crap baskets!" Kamijo was unable to move. "Come on, this should be nothing to you. Blackstar could probably do that too, and you fought against him in sparring matches countless amount of times." "I will ask you again," Kanzaki said. "I would like to take her into our care without having to give my magic name." Kanzaki's voice was unhesitant. "What the hell are you saying? I have no reason to surrender to you." "Then I'll ask as many times as necessary." In an instant, Kanzaki's right hand moved. Touma immediately got battle ready. For roar, something flew at Touma as it tore through the asphalt. Raising his right shoulder, Kamijo looked while only moving his eyes. 7. A total of 7 linear sword slices continued for a few dozen meters across the flat ground. The cuts came in many seemingly random angles. You heard her click as her katana returned to her scabbard. "I would like to take her into our care without having to use my magic name. The speed of the Nana-sen attack that my Shichito creates is enough to kill you 7 times over in an instant, not almost being called an instant kill. She had overwhelming speed, power, and range. Most likely that slicing attack had something to do with magic. Then all he had to do was touch her with his right hand. "Keep dreaming," she said, cutting off his thoughts. "I heard from Stiyl that your right hand can dispel magic, but it needs to touch it, right?" "Exactly. Kamijo's right hand was of no use, but if he could not touch it, right? I'll ask as many times as needed." Touma thinks he would need to close the distance. He could easily close the distance with Speed Star at the risk of getting his body cut. If I use Speed Star, I could cover the distance with 2 steps. No, 1! Kamijo moved as fast as he could with Speed Star. "Move!" Touma desperately commanded his body as he pushed forward. "I do not know what is driving you this far, boy." Kanzaki gave a sigh that held pity. "Nana-sen." As it went on for a little while, Touma kept on running at Kanzaki. Touma touched Nana-sen with a futile attempt to glide with his right hand. Even with the 7 strikes on him, faster than his human reflexes. "What the hell?" Touma screamed out as his right fist was eaten into. Touma was thinking how he was going to get close to Kanzaki to hit her with that technique. Touma nursed his bloody right hand with his left. "I'm surprised my 5 fingers are still intact." "As I said, I heard about your ability from Stiyl," Kanzaki had said. "Your ability is not of greater quantity. It is of a different type. More importantly, I have not yet given my magic name. I do not wish to give my magic name ever again." Kamijo clenched his right fist, but Toma's right trembled, but he then said, "Like hell I can give up." "What did you say?" "I couldn't hear you." "I said shut the hell up, you damn robot!" Kamijo clenched his bloody fist and tried to swing at the face of the girl standing before him, but Kanzaki's foot jagged into Toma's stomach, and then the sheath of the Shichito slammed into him like a baseball bat. As his body did a full spin, he tried to dodge the next attack. The term Nana-sen entered his ears as he was in pain. Her quiet voice almost sounded pain. There's no reason for you to go this far for her. Lasting even 30 seconds against one of the top 10 magicians in London is quite an achievement. She cannot blame you after going this far. Touma's mind was hazy, but he managed to remember that Index wouldn't blame her. Wouldn't blame him no matter what. Wouldn't blame him no matter what he did. He could not give up, precisely because she continued to withstand it without blaming others. Touma forced his destroyed right hand to a fist. Why? You're obviously not like that Stiyl guy. You could have easily killed me from the beginning of this fight. Yet you still have enough of a normal human's way of thinking to hesitate about things like that, don't you? Then surely you know, right? You know that chasing a girl around until she collapses from hunger and then slicing her in the back is wrong, right? Did you know why she has no memories beyond about a year ago thanks to you? Why? I'm a loser who couldn't even save a single girl after risking my life to desperately fight you, but you're different, aren't you? You have such omnipotent and great power to protect anything or anyone. So why are you doing this? I didn't know that the slice would actually connect. As Kanzaki explained to most of everything as in canon, claiming that she was a friend of Index. And the 100,000 of Mars explained to Touma about the 85% of her brain. And 15% is like the rest of them. And how Index has to have her memories erased every year. Kanzaki had explained everything as in canon to Touma. Touma was getting beaten down by raw emotions. That was Kanzaki's. He then started to flashback to a memory of his. Hey, Touma, a spiky blue-haired person said. Yeah? The bruised Touma spoke. What do you take pride in? Blackstar asked, Pride? What are you proud about the most? I mean, Blackstar elaborated. I take pride in how big of a star I am, the type of warrior god that I became, the type of power I obtained, the type of power that I want. As Touma made his rebuttal towards Kanzaki as a canon, saying that she would have made it even better memories of Index so she wouldn't fear her memory erasure. As Touma got up, Kanzaki asked if he was going to fight her like that. You want to know something? Genius with omnipotent power. Touma screamed out as his eyes were burning with determination. You want to know what I take pride in the most? My misfortune. For I am a certain misfortunate soul, burning with pride. As Touma rushes at Kanzaki, he flashes back, my misfortune, Black Star. Why do you ask? I want to teach you this technique. When you meet a soul as great as mine and greater than yours, this technique will devour the mightiest of souls. I've made this technique for someone to fight someone stronger, had a stronger soul than mine. I was desperate to beat him as Black Star's words echoed into his mind. This technique is an adapted form of soul force, so use it wisely, why don't you? Grit your teeth, genius, cause this misfortunate soul has one final attack. Kanzaki was on guard about using her nonsense. You'll eventually go to the age to protect something, no? Black Star then told him, This is my soul force. No, world destruction cannon. As the yellow lightning from his left hand, Kanzaki was caught slightly off guard, as Touma was bleeding. What's wrong with me? Wanting to protect Index. I have to see her smile again. I must protect Index. I'll show her a happy end. Touma screamed out. It connected with Kanzaki, and Kanzaki would have fallen. That would have been the end of the battle. But in reality, nothing went as planned. Kanzaki struck Touma before it could even connect. As for that brief moment, he collapsed and she grazed him on the chest with her nodachi. Touma fell on the ground trying to maintain balance, saying to prepare for the next attack, but no attack came. As he saw something before he collapsed, he saw his friend and muttered, Motoharu. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this part of a certain Misfortunate Soul. Part 5 will be on the way sooner than you think, so expect part 5 coming out soon. This is Anime Mafia, signing out now. Goodbye!